All right, so we're talking about identifying functions today. And you're going to be able to tell the difference between a relation and a function. And so your learning target is I can identify whether or not a relation is a function or not. All right, so let's talk about what is a function. Okay, a function is a relation that pairs each domain, and I want you to write this down in this little blank here. Domain means x, so that blank needs to be x value. So every x is the domain with exactly one range, which is your y value. So put that into the other blank. A good way to tell if a relation is a function is to look at all of the x values. If all the x values are different, then it's a function. So different for that last blank. All right, so let's talk about the vertical line test. The vertical line test is a test to see if a relation is a function. Okay. So what it says though is that if you were to put an infinite vertical line anywhere on the graph of whatever you're trying to find, then it should not pass through more than one point on the graph. Okay. If it does pass through one or more point on the graph, then it is not a function. If it doesn't pass through, it just passes through one point, then you have a function. So if you were given this parabola here, this is the line x squared, we can see here just by like this right here, when we plug in a few vertical lines, it only passes through one point on all of these spots right here. Therefore, that makes that a function. If we had some sort of line that kind of came through here and then back here, we can see at this point it passes through a couple of points. That means that it cannot be a function. So the key concept here, in order to tell if a relation is a function, the first thing you need to do is identify all of the domain, that's your blank, all of the domain x values. Then, if all of the x's are different numbers, then the relation is a function. If any of the x's are the same, then the relation is not a function. So just by looking at the x's, you can tell if a relation is a function or not. If you have any that are the same, then the relation is not a function. If all of them are different, then you have a function. All right, so we're gonna do example 1 here, and it says tell whether the relation is a function, and we're given a set of 4 different points. Okay, so remember, the first thing we want to do is identify all of the domain values. All of the domain values. And we have all of the domain, meaning all of the x values. So we have 3, 4, 5, and another 3. So that's all of my domain values. It's just those 3 numbers. Okay. If all of the x's are different, which we can see right here, we do not have different x values. We have the same x value. That means that this relation is not a function. Not a function. And the reason why it's not a function is because 3 is paired with -2 and 1. That means that it cannot be a function because the domain x value of 3 is paired with 2 different numbers. All right, example 2, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to find the domains of all of these numbers. And remember, I like to order them from least to greatest. So we've got -8, -4, 4, and 5. Okay. Even though it goes to the same numbers here, the same y values, 2 and 1, even though those are shared, all of these x values are different. Okay, they can share the same y value, but all of the x values are different. That means that this is a function. Yes, this is a function. And the reason why it is a function is because there are no x values are paired with more than one number. And that's how we know this is going to be a function. Last example. For this example, we can use the vertical line test. Remember, the vertical line test is we can draw a vertical line anywhere on the graph, I'll go ahead and just draw a few of them here, and if it passes through more than one point, we can see that this point, it passes through 2 points. It passes through 2 points here, 2 points here, and 2 points here. Okay? If it passes through more than 1 point, then we do not have a function. It won't be a function. But if it only passes through 1 point, then you do have a function. So because all of our vertical line tests find that we pass through more than 1 point, this is not a function. This passes through 2 points. Does not pass the vertical line test. That is how to solve, to figure out whether a relation is a function or not.